Thank you everyone for being here this evening. My name is Maly, Rosado, and I'm currently the City Council President here for our beautiful city, the city of Hartford. I want to welcome everyone who's here joining us for a community conversation on drug addiction, homelessness, Narcan training, and soup kitchen, which we're trying to change that name because everyone thinks that when we refer to soup kitchens, that's the only thing being served, and they actually serve some wonderful food. So this evening, I want to introduce our panel. And first we have Ann Gastidian, who's going to tell her a little bit about herself.
Hi, I'm Ann.
Microphone.
I'm a local journalist.
Ann, if you could use the microphone.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Usually my voice carries, but yes. Hi. I'm Ann. I'm a local journalist. I currently have been working for the Weekly, the Hartford News, for the past 7 years. And I was previously the coordinator of Hands on Hartford's Faces of Homelessness Speakers Group for several years, where I brought people who were currently and formerly homeless to give presentations all over the state. They were highly in demand. And while doing that work, I learned an awful lot about homelessness, who becomes homeless, and how.
Thank you, Ann. Next is our Pastor Roberto Calcagno, from the pastor of our Templo Fe Church, who's located a block from here. Pastor?
Sure, we're a hop, skip, and jump away, just the street here at 993 1019 Broad Street. Reverendo Roberto Calcagno, senior pastor at Templo Fe, and we're here in the community. We've been here and celebrating over 61, 62 years. I've been pastor of the church now for 8 years, coming after a pastor that founded the Templo Fe and served for 52 years. And we're here to help the community because that's part of what the church does. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Next introduction is Mark Jenkins.
Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Mark Jenkins. I'm the founder and the CEO of the Connecticut Harm Reduction Alliance, formerly the Greater Hartford Harm Reduction Coalition. I'm a harm reductionist and lifelong resident of Hartford. I've been doing frontline street engagements to marginalized populations now for over 26 years. The organization was founded, well, I guess I'll come back to all of that, but glad to be here.
Next is joining us our Councilman Amilcar Hernandez.
Good evening, Amilcar Hernandez, Councilman of City of Hartford. Unfortunately, just like many of us, we have unfortunate connections with drug addiction and homelessness. My family, I grew up, dealing with that kind of environment. So this topic is super important. So I appreciate, Council President and everybody else that put this together, because this is a conversation that needs to happen. So here I am. I came here to listen, and somehow I ended up on this side of the table. So let's see how it goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Next is Jendaya Miller from Angel of Edgewood.
Good evening, my name is Jendaya Scott Miller, founder and CEO of Angel of Edgewood. We are a nonprofit organization that focuses on food insecurity, homelessness, landlord-tenant advocacy, and really anything that is needed from our members of the community. We have lots of experience with food insecurities, and at the end of the day, we need to learn to work together to meet these needs. Us or the other, who's top of and that's what I'm advocating for you all to connect with us so that we can take care of our.
Thank you. And then we have Louis Rodriguez Porter, Connecticut Food Share.
Hello. Hi everyone, my name is Louis Rodriguez Porter, and I am the Network Relations Representative for Connecticut Food Share, overseeing all of our partner programs here in the city of Hartford. Food pantries, soup kitchens, meal backpack programs, in any program that gets food from us here at Connecticut Food Share.
Thank you everyone for your introductions. And so why did I think that this community conversation is so important? Monday at City Council, we had a lot of union tenant leaders come to us, and they expressed that a lot of our Hartford residents right now, as of today, do not have any heat in their units. A lot of them did not know what the process is, what resources they had. They didn't know that they could dial 911 or 527-6300, the police department, and the police department would dispatch an inspector from the city of Hartford. So what I've experienced is coming out, talking more and more to the community and seeing their needs. So we have a beautiful panel here who are very dedicated, passionate. They do a lot of work for the city of Hartford. So why not bring them together and have these conversations? This is gonna be the first of many. I've already been called from House of Restoration in the North End, who wants us to do the same panel up at the North End. So we are going to start off with Mr. Mark Jenkins to talk about Connecticut harm reduction and how he works in the city of Hartford with homelessness. Mark?
Thank you. So first off, I am a harm reductionist in the room of my organization. If you don't know what harm reduction is, it's generally thought of as one of those organizations that enables people to keep using drugs. And we're anything but. We are basically an organization that seeks to keep people safe in whatever it is they are presently engaging in. My organization actually, on an average day, Monday through Friday, we have people in the field doing outreach for about 15 hours a day, from 7 in the morning until sometimes 10 o'clock at night. It's average 9 o'clock at night, and then on Fridays and Saturdays, we have overnight shifts that work with the Transit Homeless Outreach Program, which are our overnight hours, and we have groups in the field on Saturday afternoons from 3 until 8 in the evening. And their job, their mission, is to really meet people where they are in their community, in their space, and find out what they need. At the end of the day, the job description for my ambassadors is to go out in the community, find out what people need, to the best of their ability, meet that need, show up tomorrow, do the same thing. And then that fourth piece is not be an asshole. That's just really the general, because what we found is people aren't always, especially marginalized and homeless populations, aren't always treated as regular citizens. So they already have a lot of baggage and everything that's coming with them. We also have a drop-in center on Albany Avenue at 557 Albany Avenue. We have an RV, which has been kind of stationary in the South End at the entrance of Coke Park, which is a mobile medication-assisted treatment vehicle. People can go there for different services, wound care. If you're not familiar with like the drug situation right now on the street, we have a really high prevalence of xylazine, which tends to eat away at the skin. There are a lot of wounds associated with folk who are engaging in those activities and the side effects as a result thereof. Also, if you didn't, we already know about the fatalities as a result of fentanyl in the drug supply, and just the overwhelming numbers, and trying to make sure that people have access to naloxone, Narcan, something that we're going to also, before you leave here today, make sure that you have access to.
So, Mark, can you talk a little bit about what happens when you get a call from a homeless person in the city of Hartford? What does your agency do?
So there are a couple different ways that we get phone calls. we have, we've been a part of the Greater Hartford Homeless Outreach for the past couple of years. And that's been a collaboration between my organization and Hands on Hartford, which is through Journey Home. And those calls come through 211 or through also a smart sheet. Am I correct, guys? And our team looks at that sheet and they're able to then find out where people are throughout the city. And they follow up either the phone numbers, addresses, locations. There's now a new special outreach funding process now, which gives us 3 outreach teams in the city. We still collaborate, excuse me, with each other, but Journey Home is overseeing it, and it's again Hands on Hartford, our organization, Connecticut Harm Reduction Alliance, and Mercy. So we now have 3 teams on the street. Are they out 7 days a week now? Forgive me if I don't know everything, because it's like, you know, for years I was at outreach worker myself, and I've just like over the past few years been elevated into this position where it's now just my job to go find more money, you know, and I don't get to do what I like to do the most, which is really be out there on the street, and I'm glad
Thank you.
we got there.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Ann. Underlying cause of homelessness in Hartford, issues specific to the rise of homelessness in the capital city.
Good evening, and this is a very, very important topic. I can tell you that homelessness, experiencing homelessness has increased in Hartford in the past several years. A lot of people feel that people become homeless for 2 main reasons, that they have substance abuse issues, whether drugs or alcohol, or that they're dealing with some sort of a mental illness. And I will not deny that those issues are present. But there are many other issues as to why people in Hartford and other places do become homeless. A lot of people are only a couple of paychecks away from becoming homeless. This is something I've learned over the last several years. Nationally, the main reason for homelessness is unaffordable housing, and which often leads to eviction, particularly when landlords come in and become new owners of a building and decide that they're going to raise the rent to a point where the people who are already living there will not be able to afford it. It's a little better now, but a lack of living wage jobs does have something to do with it. People can also become homeless because of domestic violence issues, medical issues, disabilities, death or divorce of a support person who was helping them pay for their living expenses. I can tell you that in Hartford, particularly in the South Park Inn and, the one that Maryland runs, Open Hearth, there are many veterans who are homeless and outside or who are living in shelters. South Park Inn does a very good job of that. They have a special area there where they're not just lined up on cots like they're in a barracks. They have little cubbies. They have a bed, they have 3 walls, they have a desk, a table, so they do have a level of privacy, and SPI does a very, very good job of that. But a lot of veterans and the formerly incarcerated do not want to go to a shelter. They don't want to be there, and what I get from talking to them is that the confinement reminds them too much of their time in the military or their time in prison. They don't like being told when you can get up, when you can go to sleep, when you can go out, when you have to come back in, when you can eat, how many belongings you can bring to the shelter with you. And by the way, some people are limited to 1 bag of their belongings at certain shelters that they can bring with them. So those are some of the reasons why people become homeless. And this is a national problem. It isn't just in Hartford. Shelters are a good thing, particularly in the winter. We did have a person in Hartford who froze to death a couple of years ago from exposure outside in the city. We currently have encampments. One of the major ones, and there's a video out about this, and I can give people the way to find it. It's a 5-minute video that was taken about 5-6 years ago in the North Meadows, in the tunnel beneath the underpass of I-91 North. It is dark, dank, dirty, and dangerous. You can see the men who live down there. They dragged in, if they can find a nasty old mattress on the street or something, they'll bring that in, they'll wrap themselves up. They lie huddled down there with their few belongings. It's gotten worse down there since that video was taken. And what happens now, unfortunately, very unfortunately, there are youth gangs who seem to do a kind of wilding where they think it's fun to go over to where these people are sleeping outside, and they also have done it in Bushnell Park and in Colt Park, and I live right next door to Colt Park, and they steal the belongings that those homeless people have with them, and in some cases have even assaulted them. They think it's a fun thing to do. So it's gotten even a little more dangerous out there. That's a concern. This year, we have one overnight shelter in Hartford that actually has cots that people can sleep on. However, there's a limitation where I believe only 35 to 40 people can be admitted each night, which is only a fraction of people experiencing homelessness in Hartford. A few years ago, they had one, and Maly knows because we were both down there checking it out, at the old Milner School in the North End. And people were not allowed to go inside until 7 p.m., and they had to be out by 7 a.m. So many of them started lining up outside in the winter, unsheltered, in the cold, hours before the doors even opened at 7 p.m. And as people went in, there was a cutoff point, and we would watch, and we'd see more of them coming. They'd be coming off the bus, coming up the street, getting in the line outside, and they were turned away. Once you hit that number, everyone else out there was turned away. In the morning, they had to leave at 7 a.m., but some of them didn't go far. They stayed on the grounds all day, waiting for the doors to open again at 7 p.m. in order to try to get a cot. You can imagine what a time that must be in the middle of December or January to be outdoors and having to do that. There is also an overnight warming center now at 60 Gold Street at the Center Church House across from Bushnell Park, and it is being run by volunteers, led by Carrie Howe, who is also known as the Night Angel. The thing with that is it does not open until midnight, and those who can come in, and she can hold about 20, 25 people, no cots, there are chairs, they have to be out at 5:30 in the morning. So you're talking midnight to 5:30. Carrie has done a fine job, and her volunteers, they do provide food and warm beverages for these people. They try to make sure that they have blankets, socks, other things like that they need. But I wonder, where are they before midnight? Where are they before midnight in the downtown area? As most of you know, there's nothing open other than bars, and I don't think they go there, after 8, 9 o'clock on Main Street in Hartford. So where are they? Maybe where some of the others are, sleeping on the church steps of all the many churches on Main Street. Sleeping in an alcove where the Metropolitan District Commission building is living at the corner of Gold Street, sleeping on the patio in front of the closed Hartford Public Main Branch Library, sleeping in abandoned cars, anywhere they can find a place to lay down, bus shelters, especially if they have a bench in them.
And
This is, thank you. So I just want to say very quickly, the thing with homelessness is these are not all bad people. At one point, they were somebody's child. Okay, they had a home, they went to school, they had birthday parties, all that. Something happened, they fell through the cracks. And every one of them feels like they are invisible, that they are not members of society anymore, that they are less than human beings like us. The ultimate goal, of course, which we're not talking about today, is to find safe and secure housing for people. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It has to be a place where you have a door that you lock, where you have a bathroom, where you have a kitchen you can use. Imagine being homeless in the middle of the night and trying to find a place to use a bathroom, trying to find a place to take a shower, trying to find a place to plug in your phone in case you get a call from 211 that there's a shelter bed available. So take it from here, but I'm laying out the bare bones right now as to what's happening in Hartford. Okay.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Ann. Such valuable information. Next is Jendaya, suburban homelessness and the importance that it has on Hartford, eviction, prevention, mediation, and landlord tenancy advocacy and youth homelessness. Jendaya?
Thank you, Madam President. One of the first things I wanted to talk about that has a huge impact on the resources that helps unsheltered citizens of Hartford is suburban homelessness. And what upsets me is a lot of the families that I get are from surrounding towns, towns that receive hundreds of thousands, some millions for social services, emergency services, and support. But when they have these people who go through these situations that cause them to lose their homes for whatever reason, they put them out. They don't want the statistics or the numbers associated with their town and with the image that they uphold. So they're here. Over the past year and a half, I have raised money, done all sorts of grassroots efforts to keep families housed, but the majority of them were from surrounding towns around Hartford. And one of the things that I want to do is I want to be the example so that others will join in and speaking up. When you go to other towns, their meetings, and you know, whatever it is, it could be board of education meeting, whatever it is, they advocate, they come out and they fight for their towns or cities. How come we can't do the same thing? And a lot of our families end up being in the situations that they are in because a lot of people from suburban towns beat them to our resources. And it's not that we don't want to help anyone in Hartford, but you know, we do have to be realistic because if something happened to us, we can't go to those other towns for support. They're not going to take us in. So, you know, I've been on several journeys with several families from surrounding towns, all the way down to the schools. And, you know, I'm constantly advocating and educating the families and letting them know they can't put you out. You know, we have you in this hotel, but your children have the right to attend the school, their home school. They have to provide transportation. That's their nexus. But, you know, they don't really understand how everything works. And that's what we try to educate them on. But, you know, Hartford, people have these stigmas about Hartford, but we do have resources out there. All of them aren't accessible at the same time or different ways, but our citizens are unable to tap into those resources because tons of suburban towns absorb our resources. The other thing is when it comes to evasion and prevention. So many of you may know me from our story with my landlord who was here, Ace Angeli, who's sitting in the back, where we had some major landlord-tenant issues that hit the news and so many different things. And I treated my situation the same way I educate people in the community. And so, you know, when Ace did what he had to do to get my apartment back up to par for my family and things like that, I had people saying, you know, well, why would you stay there? You need to find another apartment. And it's like, you know, everyone knows that there's a shortage of housing in Hartford, so where am I going to go? And, you know, I try to educate families to build relationships with their landlords. Is everyone going to be perfect? Absolutely not. But what we've done, we've turned around this negative situation and made it positive, and we've actually started our own landlord-tenant advocacy program. And so we're in the works of, you know, getting everything set up, but who better than the both of us to be able to go out and educate families on the services that are available to assist with mediation and so many other issues that they have. And so it's about working together and, you know, turning things around for the better. One of the other issues that we need to really focus on is youth homelessness. It's a huge problem with youth and LGBTQ plus youth. It's very disheartening. Louis and I can attest to some LGBTQ individuals, youth individuals who he called a shelter and asked did they have space? And they said absolutely, but when the youth arrived at the shelter and they, you know, stereotyped them by their parents, they claimed they no longer had any space available. And it's very, very disheartening, you know, but we have to continue to advocate for these things. There's another situation, you know, I have so many examples, but I love telling my story and the testimonies of the people that I help, because it helps people to know, like, it's some really deep issues going on when it comes to homelessness. So we have a family who my daughter was attending Prince Tech, and she called me one day and said, Mom, there's a young man that they asked me to call you to help, who's sleeping at the bus station, the fast track near Flatbush. And so I said, call his mom, you know, call the young man, see if I can get in touch with his mom. She said that they all were homeless. They were staying at the fast track. And this woman had just had twins during COVID and living on the street, and one of the twins died. And it was just like the most heart-wrenching story. Could you imagine burying your child, attending a funeral, and then going right back to the streets? She didn't have a home to go to be able to grieve. And unfortunately, when she called 211 and some other services, she was told that she wasn't considered homeless because the bus stop that they were staying at had ports for cell phones to charge their phones. And so they did not provide them the support that they needed. No one from the CAN came to get them. It was just a really bad situation. And so I put out a call to action on social media, raised money immediately, and I got this woman in a hotel for a few months. And after that, she transitioned to a shelter. She's getting ready to get her Section 8 certificate. It's been a little over a year now. Irene O'Connor and Liberty Surprise Squad came out and surprised the family when we had them in the hotel. But, you know, it's all about working together to make the change in the community. So, you know, I can go on forever, I won't, but, you know, I love anyone's support, feedback. If you want to assist us, we're always looking for help. And, yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Jendaya, and thank you for everything that you do for the community, all of you do. Next to speak on community kitchens, formerly we're trying to change this verbiage from soup kitchens, and then once we're done talking about these issues, then we're gonna take comments and questions from the public. So on the community kitchen section, Louis, the history of the Connecticut Food Share, formerly Food Share, partner agencies and statistics, and what Connecticut Food Share is doing currently.
Hello everyone, thank you for making that connection between soup kitchens and community kitchens. That's important, that's something that we're working on at Connecticut Food Share. When I first took on this role in 2022, I started looking at the data at Connecticut Food Share as a person overseeing the entire city with the food that's coming in. And I started to do focus groups in the communities, and I ended up doing 5 focus groups in various parts of the city. And the 3 main things that came up in these focus groups were knowing where is the food access, language barriers. I go into a food pantry and everything's in English. I don't speak English, right? And then inclusivity and welcoming. I go in there and I'm treated with no dignity. I'm giving a bag of groceries and I don't eat this stuff, right? What did I do with that information? I transformed how Connecticut Food Share delivers our services to the city of Hartford. One of the biggest things that I did was I ended up getting a small grant, and every single pantry in the city of Hartford and soup kitchen, community kitchen, has signage both in English and in Spanish. And if you're driving through the city and you're looking for food access, and I brought them with me so you can see them, you see that sign, you know that they are a partner of ours. You can walk into that space and you can get access to food. Language, right? Everything that we have on our website, everything that we give out to the community, it is delivered in multiple language. You tell me, Louis, my community is mostly Portuguese, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to deliver everything in Portuguese for you. Because why? That's what the community needs, right? I have data for you and I wanted to share with you if I can. And I want you to keep these numbers in mind. Partner with us in Hartford, in the city, with Connecticut Food Share. We have 9 community kitchens, 48 food pantries, 8 school-based food pantries, 13 mobile sites. That is more than Bridgeport, more than New Haven. This year alone, from July of 2022, so this past November, we have served 2,121 pounds of food. You're probably thinking, what does that look like? 1 pallet of food that you see at BJ's, that's 5,000 pounds. The city of Hartford has received 2 million pounds of food from Connecticut Food Share. So is there food in the city of Hartford? Yes. Do people know where to get it? Not yet, and that's what we're working on. I brought certain things with me to show you the work that I've been doing alone in the city of Hartford and throughout the state. And one of them is, if you have a smartphone, and if you all want to do it right now, because this is an educational component, right? I want you all to get access to this right now, is to text the word food share to 85511, and you're automatically going to get all of our sites where you can gain access to food. It is in English and in Spanish.
Can you repeat that, Louis? Can you repeat it again?
You can text the word food share to 85511. Every partner agency in Hartford has this blanket statement on their door, meaning they are working with me. And when they work with me, I hold compliance with them. I am making sure that they are following the rules, that they are welcoming and affirming. I provide training. I provide resources beyond food. Is your pantry, are your guests needing help? Anything with health? Let me connect you to a health person. You know, that stuff. We also have this document both in English and in Spanish that every single pantry partner in Hartford is required to put up on their doors. And that is, if I come to your door and your agency is closed, I'm gonna scan this, I'm gonna get resources, and I'm gonna know where to go. If you're stuck and you don't know, or you don't wanna call the state of Connecticut to apply for SNAP benefits, Connecticut Food Share has our own SNAP benefits office. Call us, we'll help you, right? So both this English and in Spanish. Another tool that I have for you all is the biggest food wasters is who? Us, right? And so we created a document that we share with the community, both in English and in Spanish, or whatever language you want, that shows you, and I've gone to multiple school sites and provided this to parents at the schools, is put this in your refrigerator. When you start thinking, oh, this can't expire, I'm gonna throw it away, you don't have to throw it away. The only thing that expires in the US is baby formula. That is the only thing that when they say throw it away in November, you better throw it away in November. But if it looks good, smells good, you can still eat it. I brought all these resources with me today, and I've in the back table that you can take with you and share with your community. The other thing that I'm doing with my pantry partners in the city of Hartford, like I mentioned, is making sure that everyone's welcoming and affirming. We created posters that are required, and I have partner pantries here with me today that have to put this up. This is my commitment to your pantry and your commitment to the guests who are entering your space. And if you are ever in a situation where someone's asking you multiple questions just to get access to food, I'm going to tell you right here and there is no ID required to get access to food. We don't need your phone bill, your mortgage papers, nothing. All we need you to do is to show up to the door and say, I'm hungry, I need food, and my agencies have to give you that food. The caveat to that is, if an agency is offering more than food, gas assistance, rental assistance, they're going to require you information or documents that you have to bring with you. But they know that they have to at least give you access to food first, take the food that you can, and then we'll require the documents after. And that is all the work that we've been doing at Connecticut Food Share. I brought all the resources with me. I brought you my business card in case you want to call me, follow up, invite me to have conversations with parents, community leaders, whoever you want. I am here. I eat, sleep, breathe in Hartford. So, thank you.
Thank you, Louis. Next to speak is Pastor Roberto Calcano from Templo Fe.
Thank you, Council President. Basically, what I want to share with you is the story of our church, what we're doing. So far as our food pantry, I want to thank Louis and Connecticut Food Share for their help. They granted us money so we could renew and remodel some of the stuff in our building. And right now we have a food pantry that's got a new room. We call it, aside from our stock area, we call it a store. Have a store where the person comes in, and we have shelves stocked with food, and they just come in and shop. They pick up whatever. We provide bags, we provide everything. And basically that's what we want to do. We want to have the person feel empowered where they can pick and choose whatever they want, because we think that's important. And I'm sure Food Share thinks along that line as well. You might ask why, we've been around for many years. Why at this time do we want to participate and have a food pantry and whatnot? I've been the pastor of the church now for 8 years, like I said, but I grew up in Hartford. I know Hartford very well. I've been here in the city since 1966, probably before some of you were born. I might look 19, but I'm not, okay? But I've been in the city. I know the city well as a small kid. I was here back when quarts of milk sold in containers and cartons were in machines, and people would dispense the machines. You put 35 cents, and it come right out. And these machines were outdoors. They were not inside any particular place. right in the corner of Buckingham here, and I think it's Buckingham and Hudson Street, there used to be a drugstore there. And right outside of it, as I lived in Watford, the street over, they would send me over, and there was a dispensing machine there for milk. So I've been around for a long time, but I've seen Hartford change in many ways, and I can tell you different seasons, at least since I've been here. So I know the city well. I've worked in the city. I worked 28 years in retail hardware store right up the street here on Park Street, H Park Hardware next to Walgreens. 28 years. I've seen the people, young kids grow up, get into gangs, we would almost see, the situation some kids were in. I worked 25 years at the same time with the Hartford Current, just simply delivering papers. So I worked 10 hours at the hardware store, but in the morning, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I was out in the streets, and I saw a whole different world. A whole different world from daytime. So I know what it is, and God has given me, and I call it God has given me the opportunity where I am now to be able to serve my city, because this is a city I love. I love, and it's very dear to me. So that's one of the reasons why we've been involved with the food share and with the soup kitchen, hopefully, and the food pantry. Now, when it comes to the church, it's important for us to understand that the church, the purpose, or we can call it the mission of the church, is basically fourfold. First, the purpose of the church is to share what we call the gospel, the good news about God, about our experience. Second, the second purpose would be that the church is a place where people come to worship their God. That's what we're called houses of worship, because that's one of the purposes. The third purpose is also for people to come and be discipled. In other words, we come to learn, to be taught the Word of God, to be taught not only the Bible, but also to be taught how to live the Christian life. And fourth, and finally, the fourth reason for the purpose of the church, or the mission of the church, is for the church to be a place that cares. And that's where the food pantry, that's where the community kitchen comes into play, at least so far as our church is concerned. We want to be able to serve the community. So we, just before the pandemic hit, we were, just about a year before the pandemic hit, we opened our building, our church, to food pantry. Basically not knowing what we were supposed to do or how to do it, we went and tried to get as much information as we could. And finally, after almost a year, we were able to figure it out. Learning from other people and trying to avoid their mistakes, learning from their mistakes and whatnot. Knowing that we were not inventing the wheel, we just wanted to be part of the process, part of organization that would help the needy people. So just before the pandemic, we were able to be up and running, and then the pandemic hits. And it was just the right time where we were able to open the doors of our facilities. If we couldn't do it indoors, we did it outdoors because of the protocols. But we were so fortunate, I call it honored, and even proud to be able to help our community. Frog Hollow. I'm a Frog Hollow guy, I've been around here. I moved when I was growing up. We moved about 3 times. We moved one from Watford Street to Madison Street, and now from Madison Street to where the church is right now. And that's been basically my life here in this area. And so we have helped the community, served hundreds of families, hundreds of people. And so we see, we're looking at, as time has gone by, now in these, 5, 6 years, that there's an even stronger need. We see more people, more food insecurity. We see our food pantry being packed with people, more and more people from all different ages, young, older people, Hispanics, different nationalities have been coming in. So we thought it best. I sat with my team that helps with the food pantry, and we decided to expand this ministry of sharing into perhaps opening up a community kitchen. Not knowing how to proceed, we went and approached the city. And of course, Council President Rosado says it well. I mean, the city is here to help us. I mean, the city council and its officials are here for us to do good, to be able to excel in what we do. And unfortunately, not understanding the language very well, we just, walked right into the offices of where we thought we were supposed to go, licensing and everything, but there's a certain way of doing things, and we were not completely prepared. And so we were denied having a community kitchen open in our facilities because of the zoning and the language there. So I reached out to the office of City Council President, and she's been more than instrumental in helping us try to get what we're looking for, because it's needed. It's needed in this area. From what I'm understanding, there's not a community kitchen here in the Frog Hollow area. There's some around the city, mostly in the north end, but not here in the Frog Hollow area. And we think that it's very important. It's needed. There's a lot of need in this area. So basically, that's why I'm here. I'm here because I want to ask for your help, for your support through petitions. We have over 300 people that have already signed up, and we're looking for more, because we are going to present this again to the board, the zoning board, to help us open a community kitchen that's so needed. And before I stop talking, I want to take this time just to thank a few people, and I had to write it down because I don't want to forget anyone. Helping us in this journey, so far as the food pantry is concerned, we thank Food Share for their services. Thank you so much. Midwest Food Bank has been instrumental in helping us as well. The Hispanic Health Council has partnered with us. Hartford Healthcare, Charter Oak Clinic, Sun, Urban Alliance has helped us, World Vision, even the Soho Funeral Home, both in Wethersfield, Connecticut, as well as in East Hartford. De Leon Funeral Home has also helped us and partnered with us. The Wellness Center, the new Wellness Center across the street. Attorney Jeffrey Dressler's office has helped us. The Paul Newman Foundation has also helped us. And we've had donations from people across the country, from California, rather from Florida, and from different places. And we also want to thank the City Council. We want this to happen because I think it's going to help people in need. And so that's what we're here for. Like I said, we're not inventing anything. We just want to be a part of the solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Calcano. Next to speak is Jendaya, Angel of Edwards' experience with food insecurities from a grassroots perspective, examples and testimonies, and past initiatives.
Thank you, Madam President. So, one of the reasons that our organization has been successful in what we're doing is our approach. And we don't do an outside looking in approach. We really meet people where they are and connect with them. And to give you an example, when we were doing the food trucks and food distribution, I had a few people who would ask, can I hold the boxes for them? They were too embarrassed and ashamed. They said, I work 50, 60 hours a week. I shouldn't be here taking from people that need it. And I always support them until they reach a level of comfort in order to remove the stigma with needing help. And I explain to them, my personal testimonies, my situations, let them know there were times that I was distributing food and had one foot in the door and one foot out. And there's so many layers when it comes to poverty. And we have to be supportive when it comes to the communities that we serve, because Hartford, the culture is so rich here. When we distribute food, no matter which side of the town I'm on, our pantry, the food is split up by ethnicity. We don't believe in, because you don't have food and you need food, take what you can get. If I have foods that are, something that's gonna go with the Hispanic community, that's where I'm gonna send that food to, just like on the north end. We try to, eliminate waste as much as possible, and, when we have new families who, came over who are immigrants and different things, when we get emergency funding, I try to go out and get food, that they are, that they eat as part of their culture. During the pandemic, one of the things that really, upset me, and I tell people all the time, was the distribution of food at Richler Field. And on TV, it looks great. They're doing all these good things, and you got lines of cars going out onto the street. But what the cameras didn't show was the families who couldn't get there. What about the people that couldn't drive? And so my husband and I, we got together and we would go over there daily. People were pulling all sorts of grocery carts and strollers just to get food. And, had it been me, I would have had a tent or some means of distributing food at the gate, because that's a long walk going back. And so that goes to show you how great the need is, because people were walking back there in the heat, in the snow, carrying those heavy boxes, gallons of milk, and then walking or getting on the bus. And so, we have to speak up more, and we're fighting for these resources, but only we can tell them how the resources need to be used. And I want people to advocate along with me, and not be ashamed. I was born and raised in Hartford, and when you have friends that are in suburban towns and things like that, they try to make you feel bad. I used to be scared at some point when I was a teenager. You didn't want anybody to know you lived in Hartford. Now, you can't talk about Hartford to me, because, we're gonna have a real argument, but there is, when it comes to poverty, Hartford has a lot of apartments that are whole flat. And if it's whole flat and, they have Section 8, the rent is being paid, the apartment may or may not have utilities. And so people don't realize how many large families are living with small dorm-sized refrigerators. There's no freezers on them, and they don't have access to a stove. If their gas is cut off, or they don't have a stove, they're using this one electric skillet. And one thing I hate, that people always say is, these people get all this money in food stamps and SNAP benefits, $2,000 and $3,000, how come it's not enough? Well, when you have a large family and there's no grocery stores, and they're going to the bodegas several times a day, each kid over and over purchasing food that isn't healthy, so they're surviving off of Hot Pockets, frozen beef patties, oodles and noodles. You can't purchase hot foods, but they say, we'll heat it up for you for free. That same pattern every day can absorb their benefits quickly before the month is over. This is the third year that we haven't really had snow, and where some people are glad, the families that I serve are upset. They look forward to the snow because they're used to sticking their meats in the snow, or if they have a cooler to keep it cold or frozen. But there are people who are living in some serious, not inhumane, but they're surviving. They're just trying to survive. And these are the things that we have to open the eyes of our legislators and everyone else, to let them know that these are the problems, the real problems that are on the ground, that are going on. Our Thanksgiving event, we provide a hot meal, and the reason I do that is because, it's bad enough seeing homeless people in an encampment, but it's even worse seeing homeless people with frozen turkeys. I just really think, you know, it's almost like a slap in the face. We have hot meals as many times as possible, and that's what our community cafe will serve. So we will be opening on the south end on Franklin Ave. We've been there in the old D&D market for a little over a year now, and it will be a community cafe where people can come in and eat for free, no questions asked, and receive a hot meal. We will also serve as a hub for smaller pantries to come in to keep their shelves stocked on a regular basis. You know, there's the statistics that Louis have, and then there's the undocumented pantries where people are just trying to do a good deed. They may not be a nonprofit organization, but they want to help, and so they may not have the right paperwork to become a partner with Food Share and different things. So if we can help our community partners all around the city to be able to distribute food so that people can access it regularly, that's what we need to do. I can go on with examples and testimonies, but I'm going to be respectful of the time. But one of the other topics that I was supposed to speak on is past initiatives. And the reason I'm not going to speak on it, simply because it is the past. We're living in new times, new situations, and things have changed. We need to focus on new initiatives and the real needs of the community so that we can meet the need of everyone that we serve.
Thank you, Jendaya. Mark, I know you want to say something briefly, and then I'm going to pass it to Councilwoman Rica Hernandez and a couple of minutes for Ann before, I'm just trying to be mindful of the time before we take questions and comments from our audience.
Thank you, and thank you, Jediah, Pastor Robert. I kind of feel I didn't do us a full justice, if you will, to talk about, you know, how there's so much crossover between the work that we all do and how we serve the community, and how, as a grassroots organization, how we've been thrust into positions because we see need and we try to meet that need, you know, and that's really what happened to us. And it started out, I think, our foray, our entry into the food services when COVID hit, and we found that most of the churches, most of the soup kitchens that were open, everybody kind of shut down, and we found there was need. There were initially some organizations, some insurance companies that gave out lunches, box lunches, and you know, we found ourselves as a result of that giving out a lot of lunches and breakfasts during the day, and then all of a sudden that went away. But we still had people who were hungry. So as a result of that, we started making sandwiches. We partnered with the House of Bread. I bought a commercial refrigerator, and one thing led to another. We now have 5 commercial refrigerators. We found ourselves being a food rescue spot where at any given time, people drop pallets of food off. One time in the summer, they dropped off 4 pallets of Carvel ice cream cakes, and they were gone before they melted. You know, and again, like I said, we're a harm reduction organization, so people think of us as a syringe service program where people come, but what we saw was that need for food transcended anybody who said, like, well, we don't want to go there because there's different things. No, that necessity for food, we continue today where we're not a part of Food Share, but there is not a day that goes by, it seems like, that somebody does not drop off food. And then we've gone through some 26,000 sandwiches in the past year. We give out 500 sandwiches a week. Everything that we make for those sandwiches, they're gone. People see us as a site to come, and for the past 3 years, we've also run the emergency winter shelter for the city of Hartford. It's been at the Best Western Hotel, seeing those folk, connecting those folk from those services into permanent supportive housing. We continue now to meet people that we see on the street daily, connecting them to services like shelter, housing. Matter of fact, just today, we just have to find one of our participants, who fell through the cracks. And he'll be connected to permanent supportive housing. We know we can make that happen. That's one of the things that we do. So we're so much more. We're different things to different people based on need. And that's what I think we kind of have in common. When we see need, we meet that need.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And before, we continue, I just want to say that this is a very important conversation that we're having today. And I want to thank the news outlets for being here and being able to share this with the entire community and to stand who will put it out on social media. But we have a lot of individuals sitting here today in our audience, like Lenny from Dinamica and Lily Simbareras, who I dealt with a lot in the past year with very, very sad stories that have really, opened up my eyes. Not too long ago, we had a young woman with 2 teenagers who was sleeping in a car. And her house had been foreclosed on, I believe, and she didn't want to go through an eviction process, so she became homeless and she started sleeping in the car with her daughters. What they would do would be, the mother would park in some of the friends' houses. The 2 teenagers were allowed to stay in the home, but not the mom. She then went to a shelter where she would not sleep at night, watching for her 2 daughters, until she was so exhausted she ended up in the emergency room. While they were in the emergency room, the doctor came and said, "Your mother is exhausted. Can you guys, watch at nighttime while your mother rests?" And the mom said, "Absolutely not. My daughters need to rest to go to school." So I want to thank Lily personally. This was a battle of 2 months, going back and forth, fighting to keep her in the hotel and not sleeping in cars. So we have, a crisis. That's what I call it in the city of Hartford, even though a lot of people don't want to say it. We have over 160 children that are from Hartford who are homeless, sleeping in cars or at friends' house. And so we need to do better. And I'm going to say that as council president, we need to do better. We need to get as many resources as we can to the people of the city of Hartford. And growing up, no one has to tell me this story. I knew what it was as a child to be homeless with my parents, to be worrying about my parents worrying about me when what I should have been worrying about is studying. So this is a cycle. It's gone on for too long. So again, I want to thank all of you guys for taking time. You could be at your homes watching TV, but you're here talking about these important issues. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Councilman Hernandez and then to Ann. I'm going to ask that we watch our time. It's 6:48, and I really want to hear from the public who's here.
Well, I'll be very quick because I came here to hear, the concerns of our community. But I'll be very quick because I'm going to take a little bit of a turn and just kind of like as I listen to all these, panelists here, it kind of brought me back to some of the memories that I have kind of put aside away. I don't remember much of my childhood before 11 years old. So anything before my 11th birthday, I don't remember much of it. It's just the way that my body and my brain kind of shut down those years of my life, and it's kind of like the way I guess that it protected itself from the trauma. I don't know. I've never really went back to really dig into it, but there are some memories that I do have, and I'm going to follow up on something that Anne mentioned earlier about the stigma. We always think about drug addiction and mental health as the 2 main factors for homelessness and some of these other issues. But my story then tells a little bit of a different story. I remember one day I was in 4th grade, and I remember that I got to the classroom, and this is in Puerto Rico, but the same happens everywhere, right? So I got to the classroom, and I see a lot of my students, my little students of the classroom, bringing food, like cans of beans and a whole bunch of different things. And here I am thinking, I don't remember the teacher ever saying that there's a collection of food. Like I'm trying to figure out, did I miss the announcement? And I'm going crazy because I was very shocked. Like I was very organized. I'm like, how did I miss this announcement? And the whole day went by, and I see all these foods, in the next to the teacher's desk. At the end of the day, I never go home. I never went home until it was like 10, 11 p.m. And that was just my day. I will leave in the morning and don't come back until 10, 11 p.m. And again, I'm 6, 7, 8, 10 years old. And that was just my way of staying away from my house because I didn't want to see what was going on inside my house. I stay in the community, and all of a sudden I see my mom walking, going towards the school. And I'm watching from, I think it was a baseball park, I was playing baseball with my friends, and I see her walking back with a whole bunch of bags of food. And I'm seeing her walking back to the house, and I basically started crying. Because at that point I figured out what happened. The teacher never told me to bring any food because all that food was for my house. So I was embarrassed. I'm a fourth grader, right? I don't really understand, and I was embarrassed that all of my friends now know that I don't have food in my house, right? So as a fourth grader, it created this kind of like, stigma that I cannot really speak about the issues in my house. I cannot ask for help because I'm gonna feel embarrassed, and because I'm gonna have to deal with all these, things that all the other kids are gonna be saying about me, whether on my face or behind my back. So I was super embarrassed. I never said anything to my mom. I just kind of like ignored it because I just wanted to get it out of my head. So that created a stigma that for the next few years, and I didn't realize this until I was much older, I shut down completely. I spent most of my childhood completely shut down. Not speaking about the things that were happening in my house, or the drugs that were going through, my kitchen counter, and all the things that I was watching and experiencing, because I knew that speaking about it was going to create some type of reaction from adults that I didn't understand and I didn't kind of like want to deal with because of the stigma that it created. And that kind of, it speaks to the education piece of it, right? As an elected official, I've been on a journey to learn and educate myself on the different issues, right? There's a lot of different issues. I am no expert in any one issue. I am learning every single day about the different issues of the community. And being here was part of that, right? Absorbing and trying to learn, what's happening, how can we contribute? But when it comes to this part of the stigma, I think that there's also a responsibility from us leaders in the community to educate our community about what it is to have food insecurity, what it is to have homelessness, what it is to live in a household that's not quality, housing, what it is to have all these issues, because as soon as we speak about homelessness, we immediately say, well, why is he homeless? Why he doesn't get a job? Mental health, drugs. There's a lot of other factors, right? And we automatically just label people, with one particular aspect. And that's what happened to me as a child, right? I labeled myself because of the stigma in the community. And it avoided, it basically blocked me from the other resources and the help that I could have gotten. So I think my point with saying this is that we all have a responsibility to educate the community. It's not just about the resources that we could provide or that these agencies can provide, but we should also educate. Educate me as an elected official, educate other community leaders, educate your neighbors, your family members. Hey, this is what's happening in the community, this is how we can help, and this is why it's happening. How can we all contribute together to fix this issue and to mitigate the issues that are happening in our community? I wish I had somebody at that point that would have told me, hey America, it's okay that you don't have food in your house, that you're going through issues, because this group of adults here, they care for you, they love you, and all they want to do is help you so you can succeed and get better. Nobody told me that. I just live my life thinking that I need to stay quiet, not say anything. Where I work during the day, and I'm just taking 30 more seconds, where I work during the day at OPP, our piece of the pie, my job, I work in finance. I don't necessarily always get to see the issues that are happening on the ground, but every single day, and I have the data, every single day, I have staff coming to my office asking for gift cards. So I have an inventory of gift cards from Walmart, Stop and Shop, a whole bunch of different stores, different, denominations and values. And, they fill out the paperwork, they give it to me, and I see a little bit of the narrative on why they're asking for this gift card. And more often than not, they're asking for gift cards because they have a youth that's homeless. They have a youth that does not have food, or that they need to buy baby food, and they need to buy formula, and it breaks my heart. Because I see this on a piece of paper, but they see it in real life, because my co-workers, they get to actually speak to the youth, and I cannot imagine how they deal with this and how they go home, thinking about how this 16, 17-year-old kid is going through this, right? And my job is to give the gift card, put the information in the system, and then, keep going and keep doing my work. But then I have to turn back around and be like, wait a second. My job cannot just be give a gift card. I have to contribute in a different way. We have to figure out how to avoid this. I don't want my job to be giving a gift card for you to go to Walmart. I want my job to be something else, not giving gift cards, because we need to mitigate this. This should not happen. And it breaks my heart. And coming here today, my intention was to learn a little bit more, because I want to be a contributor in mitigating this issue. This cannot continue. I should not be getting requests for young people being homeless, young people needing food. I should not be getting those requests. I want to get a request for something else, but not for that, because that's unacceptable. And it breaks my heart, and I'm here to support, the efforts of Council President and all these, folks here in any way that I can, because it is something that's hitting home. I went through it as a child, and now seeing it happen, it just breaks my heart. So that's what I want to share.
Thank you, Councilman. And, we have these great conversations, but, the community, we all want to see results, because we can talk and talk and talk. And since I've been a councilwoman for 5 years, I've been doing a lot of talking, and I like to see results. So before we hear from all of you, in our last half hour, I'm going to pass it over for a quick remark from Ann.
Thank you, Maly. I'm going to stand up. I'm a little tired of sitting right now. I was at the office today where I work, and one of the people who also works there told me that another colleague of ours said the problem with all the homeless people coming to Hartford, no matter where they came from, was the fact that we have social services here. And if we got rid of all those social services, they'd have to find another town to go to. He thought that was a great solution. I don't think it's a great solution. I wish that other towns would step up. This is nothing new. The city administration has tried to do that for several years now, as have other people, and the response from other towns has not been that good. So they come here. They come to Hartford. We do what we can here, both with supported entities that will have warming centers, shelters, places where you can get food, either meals or groceries. We have that. What we need in this city is more housing geared to people who are transitioning from homelessness, people with a lower income. Now, there are opportunities for that here in Hartford. There are city-owned buildings, multiple unit buildings. There are buildings like the old YMCA on Jewel Street that has been empty for over 25 years now, that used to provide small micro apartments, mostly for men who were lower income. There are 3 buildings, 2 on Jefferson Street and 1 on Washington Street, that are all in a row, that are owned by Hartford Hospital. And they have been unoccupied for many years, but those buildings have very good bones. It's been at least 15 years since anyone's lived in them. They're multi-unit buildings. Hartford Hospital owns them. I don't know what they want to do with them. All I know is that Hartford Hospital, like all hospitals in the city and all their other outlets in the city, do not pay property taxes to the city of Hartford. So they don't have to pay taxes on those buildings because they own them. I would like to see them donate those buildings to the city of Hartford and to rehabilitate them and make that affordable housing for low-income people to transition from other shaky circumstances. It's not just those buildings. There are others like that. This can happen. I love Hartford, and I know we need economic development. Yes, all cities need economic development. But the focus in Hartford for the last decade has been on either building from scratch or renovating existing properties to a level where the rents are unaffordable to 90% of the people who currently live in Hartford. I understand that the city, and I love this city, like many others here. I was born here, grew up here, raised here, a lot older than you. I was born in 1950, okay? I'm 73 years old. I've been around a long time. But I want to say that I want to see some focus, and the council can help with this. The administration is going to do what they're going to do, but they need to be urged to take some properties. You can also probably pick from within the chronically homeless community, including the ones who live in shelters, people who have worked in building trades, and they could go in and help renovate these places and then have first shot at getting an apartment there. Because the answer to homelessness, not just winter, is safe and stable places to live. Hartford needs more of that. Ace, are you still out there?
Yes.
Something to think about, sir.
Yes.
As you go your way, you may find an opportunity to provide something like that. I will just mention that the latest sale that was published was the old Fuller Brush building, way the heck up the end of North Main Street, almost at the Windsor line. It is going to be turned into 160 apartments. Only 5 of the 160 apartments are earmarked as affordable. The other 155 are all going to be market rate. So you're talking about small apartments like studios for $1,500 a month and going up to the 2 and 3 bedrooms to $2,500, $3,000 a month. Hartford has the lowest median income of the 169 towns in the state of Connecticut. We're lower than East Hartford, lower than New Britain, lower than a lot of small rinky-dink towns that most of us have never visited. We are the capital city. We need to step up and do a better job taking care of people who can't find a safe and stable place to live. And getting rid of social services is not the way to do that. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ann. And now we are going to open it up to the public for comments, questions, concerns that you would like. Juanita? You can just come up. Kelly or Sabel?
Okay, hi, my name is Juanita, and I have 2 questions that probably is more for where you can direct me to. The first one is, I see that the highest percentage of homelessness are Black, whites, and Hispanics, and we have more than those ethnicities here in our city, and I just wanted to know what are they doing that they don't find themselves where we at? So how come those groups, that community are not as high, and only these 3 are the highest in our community? So I don't know if they should do some research about that.
Juanita, do you mean the other immigrant community?
Yes, well,
Undocumented, those
not
white
necessarily,
refugees?
I know Hispanics, blacks and Caucasians are the highest. But we have people
And
from,
Jamaica,
from other different
Asian
countries. Yes, and they're not facing the, or we don't know, I don't know if they're facing the same thing that we are. And if they're not, has anybody done any research about what's working for them versus what's working for the rest of us?
I mean, the
Please
quick
speak
answer,
up, I need the people on the microphone.
the quick answer is we're not a sanctuary city. So many of the immigrants, so you'll see maybe a higher percentage in New Haven, which is a sanctuary city, and you'll see a lot more of Nicaraguan, other Hispanic, Latino, Latinx communities. New York State, New York City, they have a huge influx. We just, I don't want to say been spared, but the majority of our people tend to be more local, and we do see some. I know we housed some last winter that came in from Dominican Republic, so.
I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off. I was just saying, like, I'm a teacher and I have kids from like Saudi Arabia, Asians, different countries, but it seems like only like our community, African Americans. Maybe I should just avoid that, because it's not been clear, and not just something that's more like research. So, because Hispanics, that would involve Hispanics too. So that's included in that group. As a teacher, I see students from different countries besides Hispanics, blacks, and Caucasian. So if I have a student from Saudi Arabia and they don't have any family that are homeless, what are they doing that's different from us? Or like me that I'm lucky.
I think one thing you have to look at is the population.
One thing you have to look at is the population. Basically, the majority population here is Hispanic, so obviously you're gonna have more issues with that, Black and Hispanics. That's why you see the larger concentration of people with those needs. It's not necessarily other nationalities or other people are doing anything different. It's probably just the population itself. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
And that's because I was gonna ask these following questions, because I don't want, I'm the type of person that I like to help, but for example, if I go around and start giving people food, and that's more like for food share, I worry about allergies and special diets. And I don't think it's fair, like you were saying, about giving someone frozen turkey. Like, I don't want to be going around like, oh yeah, it's the holidays, so I'm gonna help people, and not think about allergies. I don't want to be killing someone because I want him to be nice. And special diets, so people cannot eat certain food because of their diets. So,
Well, one thing I can say is that I don't think the people that the individuals that you think aren't documented may be doing something better or getting services. I know firsthand with dealing with a lot of those families, whether they're undocumented or not, they aren't always comfortable with completing paperwork and statistics. And they could be here legally, but their spouse may not be. And if it's going to open a can of worms or shed light on their housing situation and expose their family who could be deported, that's why a lot of them don't complete paperwork. The other thing is, so Catholic Charities, Joel Cruz, a lot of the services over there that they had for the Ethiopian families, Ukrainian, Russian families, when the Trump administration came, they removed a lot of the funding that supported those families. So they shut down Catholic Charities and several other organizations who were supporting those families. So the numbers are kind of really inconsistent with those families. We know that they're there. Even with some of the Jamaican families, it's the same thing with the West Indian population. But a lot of the resources that supported those immigrants have been eliminated.
that's good to know, because I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
That's
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, that's a great question, Juanita. I am Hartford, right? And I'm gonna get that data because I know where you're coming from, right? And so, you know, to get that data from Bridgeport, New Haven, Waterbury, would be very interesting to see, you know, the ethnicity of the homeless
And it's
population.
not like to pinpoint anything, it's just like, maybe they know something that we don't know,
Yes.
so maybe possibly.
So Sabella's gonna pass around the microphone.
Hi, so I'm Sarah Pavone, I'm Director of Strategy with Journey Home, or the backbone agency that coordinates the homeless service system for Greater Hartford and Central. So if you go on our website, journeyhomect.org, we actually did a racial equity analysis of our entire homeless service system for Greater Hartford. So you can actually see disparities and findings based on that. I will say, to get specifically to your question, we can't dial it down to that level because of the way race and ethnicity is collected for federal data, and how people self-identify between the race and ethnicity options that only federal data allows you to have on your forms. But you can see a full analysis of identified disparities that we found. So our next steps are now to figure out how to move forward and adjust disparities that we've identified from that analysis. But it is public on our website.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Teresita. I'm the program manager at the Family Wellness Center right across the street. We're neighbors with the library here. I'm also the director of the food pantry at El Bloque. And to address the second part of your question, the young lady in the red hoodie, Food Share really pushes for all of their food pantries to be choice food pantries. So that means that we don't pre-pack bags. We set up our food pantry as if they were going into a grocery store, so they have the ability to select whatever they want to cook in their house. We're not forcing them to eat anything that they don't want to eat. If anybody has an allergy, they just simply won't take what we're offering at the food pantry. So I understand, and for the simple reason that we are in the Frog Hollow area, I try when I'm going through my list online at Food Share to buy food that our community is gonna recognize, right? But sometimes I like to throw something that they don't recognize so that they're gonna ask me, what am I supposed to do with this? For example, a few summers ago, Food Share was offering kale. Well, Puerto Rican or Mexican or, any person knows what to do with kale. But as part of the service that we're offering to our community, I told them, babe, you could throw in some habichuela quizá. It tastes wonderful, right? So we gave them different options so that they can learn how to make healthier choices. I would also like to say that as a community, I think we need to change our language a little bit and not referring to them, as those people, right? At the food pantry, and Pastor and Louis know very well that we don't refer to them as clients, we don't refer to them as the other people. When they come into my food pantry at the church, there are vecinos, there are neighbors, right? I was sitting in one of the sessions that they do at Food Share online, and there was a lady that spoke, I don't remember her name, Louis, you might remember, but she said something that stuck with me. She said that if we refer to the people that are coming to our doors for help as our neighbors, then we're gonna fight for them harder, just because we've made that connection with them. You're not gonna leave your cousin or your neighbor that lives right across the street by themselves if you know that they're going through a need. So I think that we need to also work on changing the language in how we refer to the homeless population, to the food insecure population, and not just make it those people. There's a very large disconnect when we refer to them as those people. They have to be our neighbors. We have to adopt them and make them our own. I work right next door at the Family Wellness Center, and if there's any doubt that a community kitchen is needed in this community, you come and ask me. You come and ask my patient navigators. Most times, we skip our lunch because we give our lunch to somebody who comes to our doors that are hungry. Pastor has given me the keys to the church. He understands the nature of the work that we're doing at the Wellness Center, and he knows that people come knocking on our doors simply because they're hungry. I'll say, come on, let's take a walk. The church is about a block and a half away from the center, and I'm constantly walking back and forth so that people can shop for whatever they need. And we're giving them the information. In regards to healthcare, the Hartford Healthcare Clinic is in the building 2 days a week, on Wednesdays and Fridays. If you have insurance, that's good. If you don't have insurance, that's okay too. They're still gonna see you to try to get your basic medical needs met. So I wear 2 hats, my Hispanic Health Council hat and my church hat. And I love wearing both of them, right? Because at the end of the day, I've been called to serve. That doesn't mean that I'm standing in public, preaching, or giving speeches or anything like that. I'm not that kind of girl. Pastor will attest to that. You tell me go stand in the pulpit and say something, no, Pastor, I'll write the announcement on a note for you and you give it. That's just not me. But the point of the way that I choose to serve is that I'm serving. It doesn't matter whether they tell me you have to mop the floor, you have to sweep the kitchen, somebody needs food, somebody needs help. Count me in, I'm there. I'm not that person to be up in the front, but any way that I serve and the way that I choose to serve is behind the scenes in whatever way that I can do it.
I love what you all are doing. I'm out there every third Sunday of the month, breaking every rule.
Yes.
Until the city comes and shuts me down, and I will find another spot by the blessing of God.
You continue to do what you're doing.
But I know Maly will help me figure it out. And I mean that with the utmost respect. Love you all, what you're doing. But my comment is directed to the larger population. We need to follow the money. Sorry, Pastor. No, I'm a Christian girl. Pero la verdad, hija de Dios. So we need to follow the money. Who's getting the money and what are they doing with that money? And why are people starving? And why are you and you and you and you? The same voices always advocating. And the question about addiction, and I want to clarify this, and I come from a father who at 60, okay, said, adios alcohol, and we're very happy about that. So I grew up in a home with the most loving father, don't get it twisted. But we always are the same people in the round tables, the same people. What you've been able to do, brother, I mean, like, blows me out of the water. But we have the data already. We have the research. Why aren't we allocating? Why are teachers worried about what their students get to eat or not? The schools are getting a lot of money for outreach. I want to hear what the schools are doing to identify those children who are at high risk. And let me tell you, one of the reasons why people don't go out and get services, okay, is because of the way we choose to tell their story. It's not ours to tell. It's not ours to tell. So that's why it's so important for us not to do that, but we gotta follow the money. Once we, tax dollars, right? So, where's the money? You know, with all due respect, there's a lot of churches who are making a lot of money. What are they doing for our communities? How many grants are you writing? Why are we, we need you out in the streets. So, amiga, if you want to know something, come and hang out with us. Te vamos a llorar, because I'll tell you that much. But the fact that as people go out into the community, we go out to build relationships. If we don't have relationships, people are not coming. It doesn't matter what it is. And all of us are one paycheck away, one disaster away from being homeless.
I agree with you, and basically that's why I was thanking all these people, because we have to follow the money, and Newman Foundation has given us grants and even food share. I agree with you, relationships are what what we need to do. We have to develop relationships. That's one thing I'm big about in our food pantry and in what we do. We have to follow the money is absolutely right. So, we don't have it, but we're looking for it. So that's important. You have it. Okay.
Werner, Becky Werner. And then the lady in front of him. And we have 10 minutes left because I promised Graciela, our wonderful branch manager, that we're out of here at 7:47. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you for inviting us to the conversation. I work for the state. I have been following the money and happy to know that Connecticut, through monies that came from the federal government, supported free meals for all students in Connecticut, regardless of income. I would personally have used it in a more equitable way so that kids that didn't have it could have more lunches. But nevertheless, that was important. I love the fact that for COVID and after COVID, there were free buses that were provided so that parents and people wanting to go to work, they didn't have to pay for that type of service. So a lot of support financially. But what I am observing now, and I would love to get your perspectives from what I'm hearing today, is that there is that huge housing crisis that is impacting not just Connecticut, but the whole country. And from what I understand, there's probably more than 116 households that potentially could be homeless any second. They're at the brink of eviction. And I was very, not shocked, but impressed to know that, and saddened to hear that there are more than 100 kids living in their cars with their parents currently. So my question to the panel is this increase in need, is it huge right now for you from your perspectives, or has it remained the same prior to COVID?
So it's gone up a lot, okay? And one of the reasons are the high rents. You know, a lot of people, believe it or not, would prefer becoming homeless than to get an eviction, because once you have an eviction, no one wants to rent to you. So.
And you have to have credit rating.
And you have to have a certain credit rating. And one of the things that I'm running into a lot of concerns and complaints from residents, where they'll have to pay. So if you're a family of 4, you would have to give $200 deposit to put in that application so that they can do a background check on every single person. And there are some landlords out there that they're making rents, triple rents, just putting a sign to rent an apartment because they'll know that they'll get all this application money. So that's something that we're gonna look at the city of Hartford. But before I pass it on to the lady in front of you and then the lady on the other side, Louis, you had something you wanted to say?
I did. I just wanted to tell Zita, thank you for that. I just wanted to tell you what we're doing as an agency. So not that many people know, but we last year onboarded a $1.5 million grant that went out to the community. And what we removed was the application process. And I don't know if you were the one who applied to the church, but 5 simple questions. That grant was 5 simple questions. What do you need? How do you need it? How fast do you want it? And what are your goals? And what are you going to do with this money? $30,000 transformed his pantry into an open choice, full-blown grocery store pantry. Catholic Charities, through my eyes and through my lens, I gave him $158,000. If you go through that pantry right now, it's under construction. Again, another full choice pantry at the grocery store. Cathedral of St. Joseph, $2.2 million pantry. You go in there, you're getting food, health, undocumented, no insurance, get it, and go walk out. So Connecticut Food Share as a whole throughout the whole state, we are getting money in our bank accounts, but we're pushing it right back out to the community where it's needed.
Good evening. Thank you for your time this evening. I have maybe, I don't know if they're questions, but just concerns that I just want to state. And my background is that for the past 8 years, solidly, I've been volunteering with some of the neediest unhoused folks in the community. In that, I won't get into the story, but I ended up adopting a gentleman who's
Microphone. Please close.
I ended up adopting an elderly gentleman who was living outside of where I live in Hartford. He's in his mid-80s right now, but he was unhoused for several years, and I just tried, and I couldn't get him help. And ultimately, it's a long story, but I legally adopted him. So it's part of my life every single day now. I ended up helping, because of my love with him, I ended up helping several other folks too. So, I have 8 years of experience touching upon everything that all of you have talked about and are working on yourselves. Some of the things I just want to voice, money, the money, follow the money. One thing that comes to mind when I was volunteering at the men's shelter, while I had gotten my elderly buddy there for a little while, there were 3 caseworkers to 120 men at that time. 3. It took me about 2 to 3 years to get 2 men situated. How can 3 caseworkers handle 120 unhoused men? Money. Where's the money for the warming center? Why only 35 or 40, 45 people in the warming center in the winter? You mentioned other towns stepping up. Well, I would like to see Hartford step up first. I understand that the budget is less than 1% for all of health and human services in Hartford. I don't know the exact figure, but I would like to see Hartford set an example. And maybe if we set a shining example, other towns would be, step up as well. Money. 211, the 211 system, it has its place and it does good, but I do not think it's adequate at all for emergency situations. The whole reason, again, going back to the money, I spent 1 month, literally, I spent every night outside on the street corner with this elderly man, trying to call 211 and trying to get him to a shelter. And they did not want to talk to me. They said HIPAA violations. They would not talk to me. He had to call himself. And I said, well, let me put him on speakerphone. No, it's a HIPAA violation. They would not help me get this man into a shelter. And I'm talking about, I finally did a commando myself and got him into a shelter in mid-December before a snowstorm came. But I've had so many other experiences with them, 211 after that, trying to help other folks where I'm on the phone for hours. So what I would like to see is I'd like to see a walk-in community center in downtown where people can walk in and get the help they want 24/7, or somebody like me, a concerned citizen, can just accompany somebody there. Something walk-in, something in person. Forget that 211.
Jennifer?
Very good idea. And
No, Jennifer, thank you. I just want to say that I'm acknowledging her because
Yes.
I know she's been doing this kind of work in the city for several years now. So thank you for being
yes, and we only have 2 minutes left, so, everyone else that has questions or concerns, I have 2 staff members here. We can take your name and phone number.
In the future, it would be great to have more community time.
Yes, I understand, yes.
So, what I wanted to address was the lack of, I call it the end. It seems like this cycle, what everybody talks about, just keeps going round and round. And having stability, a place to know where you can lay your head every night, and have that be a safe one, and have running water, and have heat, seems to be extremely rare. Okay, that is the big problem. We don't have the end of the line success story, enough places for people. What I'd like to say is, I understand economic development. I understand it really well. I'm just saying what the city of Hartford has chosen to do for the past 20 years is like out of the 1980s and 1990s. It is not progressive. It doesn't meet our community needs. Building these high-end buildings that have micro kitchens, micro dining rooms, 5 by 5. I am 5'2 3/4". I know how big that dining area is. I lay down on the floor. These are not for families. These people who live there now have no intention and no commitment to the city of Hartford. They don't invest their time or their money in Hartford. We have to start thinking about the people who are living here and having safe housing, affordable housing, and not be building high-rise.
Thank you so much. And so I want to be mindful of our branch manager, Graciela. It is 7:30. This is going to be one of many conversations. I do want to thank Denise Drummond for making these beautiful name tags. This was really a great conversation. To our panelists, to Journey Homes, Luis Barrera, Dinamica. I want to give a special shout out to Sama, Portofino Italian Restaurant, Red Rock Tavern, Warner Gender for being here, and I apologize if I missed someone. We have here a town committee member from the 4th District, a chair. So there were very, very important individuals here that came out to represent their community and express their concerns. I also want to thank my staff, Sabelle and Kelly. And once again, thank you all so much for being here, our news media that gets this message out to our residents. And let's see if we can continue to work together and see some action. That's what I want to see. And to you, ma'am, that was a great idea. I'm going to give you my word that I am going to work on that, and hopefully Councilman Hernandez, because we need to provide what I call customer service in the city of Hartford. It's got to become a welcoming city of Hartford where people can go in, sit, like back in the days when our residents could go and sit at council offices and speak with the staff. So we're here to help, and may God bless you all. Thank you.